Before going on recess, House Republicans sought a last-minute deal on health care. To get there, House Speaker Paul Ryan met with President Trump at the White House. Vice President Pence met with the Freedom Caucus on the Hill. The same group the president called an obstacle to his repeal and replacement plan. The GOP is looking for compromise between the Freedom Caucus and moderate Republicans. Among the ideas floated, a waiver giving states the authority to decide on minimum benefits and the price of premiums. Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio is a member of the Freedom Caucus who was at the meeting with Vice President Pence. He opposed the Republican replacement plan and recently sided with the Democrats on rules protecting internet privacy. Congressman Davidson, nice to have you. Thanks for talking with us.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Let's talk about internet privacy first. You broke with a lot of your Republican colleagues and you supported, you voted against the rollback. Why?
For me, a higher order is the Bill of Rights and the privacy protections. So I believe you really do. Whose data is it? It's your data.
Right.
And I think that for me,
be.
that trumped the considerations, and I voted no.
It's our data. You voted no. Your vote lost. And I think a lot of consumers actually felt like they lost as well, because I'm with you. I think it's my data. What are your concerns about what some of these companies could do with our data?
Well, the biggest concern I have is that Congress needs to take action. So all this regulatory action highlights the need for legislation. And I think there's a strong will among Republicans and hopefully something that could be done in a bipartisan fashion to really make sure that people go, yeah, this is your data. The customer data is there. And so truly everything that you do on the internet, for example, goes across your internet service provider's connection to the internet. And so that's why a lot of people feel particularly sensitive to it.
Let's talk health care. There was a meeting. Vice President Pence was meeting with you guys, the Freedom Caucus, about, I guess, health care revisiting 2.0. The first version of the AHCA ended badly, obviously. What was the conversations with the vice president about this time around?
Well, I'd say just start where you left off there. I don't think it ended badly. I think really Speaker Ryan, he's taken a lot of heat. And I think he taken heat for doing the right thing. I think he pulled it back and he kept it alive. So it hasn't ended at all. It's just we didn't hold the vote the day that everyone was expecting for the vote to occur.
You might be the only person who thinks that has a positive read of how that thing went down. What are the top conversations specifically now? Well,
so I think the Friday after the anniversary of ACA, everyone felt that way. Everyone had a bad day that Friday. I don't know anyone who was happy that Friday. But then when you came back after the weekend, we set a tone of, all right, we still have to honor the commitment. We're here to fix the healthcare problem that we have in our country. So that's been constructive.
So what are you focused? I mean, to some degree, repeal and replace are a little bit in conflict, right?
So it was stated that way. And frankly, as a candidate, I kind of called that a pretty slogan. And people have been talking about it for a long time. And I think what everyone really cares about is, are you going to fix it? And by fix it, I think most families mean, are you going to take my premiums down? And so I think that's where we were. One of the things that more moderate members had was the subsidy that is in the AHCA, the new Republican plan, is less generous than the previous subsidy. So that creates a fear and a CBO score that says, well, people aren't going to be able to pay for this.
Well, and your constituents, they love the essential benefits. They want to have their maternity care covered. They want to make sure that their kid is covered to 26. They want to make sure that any kind of pre-existing conditions, those are the kind of, they're popular in the media to talk about, and those are the things people really glom onto and are worried about losing in these conversations.
Right, but states have these same things. So it wasn't like for example, New Jersey has even more than the Affordable Care Act. So frankly, the Affordable Care Act doesn't really change anything for people in New Jersey. And we're a very big, diverse country. Not everything in America is like it is on the East Coast. Western Ohio is very different, than Manhattan, So that shouldn't surprise anybody,
spent time
right?
in both, I've noticed.
Yeah, so.
But that might be a tough sell to your moderate members, and it might be a very tough sell to the public who have gotten very comfortable with the federal government offering some of these benefits that they really have made very clear in polling that they don't want taken away. I mean, that to me is sort of the conundrum, right?
So fundamentally is, can you explain federalism? I mean, and that's the challenge. And so, people in Ohio want less federal government. People in, New England might want lots of federal government.
Congressman Davidson, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice to talk with you.
Likewise.